Hey everybody, today I'm posting a brisket video. I just wanted to jump on before this video and just say thank you for still being here. It's been a few weeks since I've posted anything to my YouTube channel and even my Instagram page. But life got really busy around the holidays and I just did not have time with work and some personal stuff going on. So thank you all for still being here. This is a relatively short brisket cook video. It's about 10 minutes. I learned a few things on this cook that I wanted to share with you guys, and I think people will find useful during their own brisket cooks. I was a little bit worried about a couple of things that you'll see in this video, but the brisket actually came out really good, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking with me during this little hiatus that I took, and expect a lot more content coming forward. Today we're smoking a brisket. I have a 13-pound choice grade brisket from Costco. Could not find prime anywhere. I figured I'd just grab the choice grade and get some practice reps in. This thing is all trimmed up already. I did not film myself doing the trim. Came out pretty good. I scalped it in one spot over here on the flat, which I'm not very happy about, but it is what it is. I figured if I'm doing a brisket, I might as well film, show you guys how I do it. All right, we are all trimmed up. I'm a fan of an aggressive trim, a Texas style trim, if you will, taking off the thin parts of the flat, the mohawk, and shaping it up nicely. These lines that you're seeing on the meat side, that's from the brisket being on a wire rack uncovered in my fridge overnight. I trimmed this up last night. I'm seasoning this brisket with pepper, salt, and Lowry's. The ratio I used was about 2 parts pepper, 1 part kosher salt, and a little less than 1 part of the Lowry's. Be sure to hit all sides of the brisket, nice even coat of the seasoning. I start on the meat side because I put the brisket on the smoker with the fat cap facing up. So I finish on the fat cap side. This fat cap was a little bit dry from being in my fridge overnight, so I'm just using a little bit of water in the spray bottle to help the seasoning adhere. I filmed the majority of this cook myself, so apologize for the shoddy camera work. But the smoker is heated up to 225 degrees, and I'm putting the brisket on fat cap up. I place my briskets on the opposite side of the cooking chamber from the firebox, and that way you're not getting direct heat impacting your brisket. So the reason that we put the point towards the fire is because the point is much larger, thicker part of the brisket. And I mean, look how thin the flat is. So if we have that side getting blasted by the fire, closest to the fire the entire cook, and the flat's going to cook way faster than the point, and then we're going to have a very dry flat at the end of this. So let's close her up and check back in a few hours. Marking time at a little after 11, which I'm really not happy about. I meant to get this thing on at like 8 in the morning, but I'm a bum. Three hours in, rolling at a steady 250. This is about the point where I'm gonna take just a piece of wood and I'm gonna block the airflow from just blasting this corner of the point. If you can see, it's already darker pretty much than the rest of the brisket. So I've seen other people do this. It makes sense to me. So this is how I do it. And I've been doing it this way in my last few briskets. I can already tell right now that this part, it's gonna start pulling up a little bit when that fat starts to render, which kind of sucks. But it's just the nature of the beast and not having a perfect trim. Checking in at about 6 hours here. Finally starting to get a decent bark on here. What I did also, if you're wondering why this is tilted a little bit, I was starting to pool up right here like I thought I would. So I just propped it up on a little piece of wood. And we're not getting that pool anymore. You may have noticed that there's no more wood blocking this brisket. I'm not thrilled with the bark for 10 hours into a brisket cook on this, but this is where we're at. The corner of the point is getting darker than the rest of the brisket, so I just hit that portion with a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water. All right, so here we are, 12 and a half hours into this brisket cook. We faced a little bit of adversity in this cook, a couple of things that I was not expecting at all. Number one, the flat started to curl up throughout this cook, which created a massive pool of rendered fat on basically the center of the flat. So what we did to combat that, my buddy Dan Edison gave me a tip. He said, put a little piece of wood underneath the brisket and kind of tilt it. So we did that. Worked phenomenally. No more pooling. Thank you, Dan. That was an awesome tip. Really appreciate that. I could have been running the smoker with the stack open a little bit too much, creating a little bit too much convection. Even though it was at 250, with the airflow coming through there, it could have caused the flat to kind of curl up a little bit. I'm okay with that. That didn't end up being an issue. Number two, I've cooked quite a few briskets. I've never had a brisket take this long to get that perfect bark that I'm looking for. For comparison, this is 5 briskets and a pork butt at 8 or 9 hours, the cook that I did before this. So now, here we are, and we're sitting at a finished brisket, and I have not wrapped this thing. I wrap all of my briskets, usually 175-ish, and this thing is pretty much done. It's temping at 190-ish degrees in the flat, 195, and I'm going to rest it for 12 hours in a warming box. So for me, this is done. So I didn't get a chance to wrap it because I didn't have the bark that I wanted. Every brisket truly is different, and this one was quite different for me. We're going to pull it now, and we're going to hold it in the warming oven overnight. 192-ish in the flat. The point is done. I mean, you could just see the give in that thing. All right, so since I didn't get a chance to wrap this thing at all, it pretty much cooked all the way through on its own. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it with foil and tallow. So I'm just gonna take this thing. I have tallow from an old cook, and I'm gonna come right down on the center. Have some foil here. Lay it on thick, right where the brisket's gonna go. This is gonna be on the meat side. We don't want to soften up our fat cap or our bark too much, so I'm just gonna lay this tallow on and the foil. Take the brisket, put it on the foil with the tallow, wrap it up tight, and we're gonna put it to bed for the night. All right, so I got my new food warmer here. I got this thing on Amazon. It's been pretty good. Aside the fact that it only works in the metric system, and I'm American, so it kind of pisses me the off, to be honest with you. Fahrenheit won't work, but Celsius works just fine. So not too happy. I emailed them, keep sending me some weird stuff, and yeah, so I'm stuck using Celsius. So if you see 60 degrees Celsius, that's 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to put this in at 140 degrees Fahrenheit, not 60 degrees Celsius, and we are going to let this thing hold for about 12 hours. And we're going to have this for dinner tomorrow night. It's late right now. It's not too bad. Got a few shelves in there, some extra shelves that I don't have in there right now. Just going to pop this thing right in the bottom, and we will check back tomorrow. So this was my first time using the warming oven for brisket, and this is what I bought it for. I mean, this brisket just came out perfect after a 15-hour hold at 140 degrees. All of my concerns for this brisket during the cook, the bark, the choice grade, pretty much went away after I unwrapped this thing. I knew it was going to be phenomenal. Never waste the juices that are in the bottom of your foil. Pour it right over the top. I usually don't like when people play with their food, but I gotta show off the jiggle on this thing. Overall, I was very happy with how the flat came out. It did retain moisture for a choice grade brisket that was not wrapped during the cooking process. I was happy with the smoke flavor, the smoke ring, the bark, and the breakdown of the fat during the rest. As for the point, I'll let it speak for itself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe picked up a thing or two that you can try on your next brisket cook. If you're new here, I'm pretty brand new to YouTube. I've had this page for less than 6 months. I just took a 1-month hiatus. I appreciate everybody that's returned and has stayed with the channel even through that break. We've got a lot of cooks planned and a lot of things that I'm looking forward to cranking out through 2024.